Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Cutting Through the Bullshit. I am your host, Dr. Stephanie Snyder, and I am a high performance mentor. Through my unique blend of strategy, mindset, and intuition, I help men and women to cut through the BS in order to create the life and business they desire. So let's dive in. Full disclosure, I just got off the phone with a very disgruntled student. You're probably like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be listening to her podcast. So I also teach online college level classes, and I am typically very clear in my expectations. However, I must not have been in this class. So I did get good feedback from a student, but this student was not thrilled because I did not give them a great grade because a large portion of their paper was someone else's words. I did go back and revise. We had a conversation in regards to this student's paper. It was an incredible conversation. And I actually love that this conversation was even available, I guess, because so oftentimes when I do get emails from students when they're upset about grades, they are just totally shut down emotionally and they are just pissed at me and want me to be wrong. But this student was actually very open and willing to have a conversation, and part of it was probably because of the way that I communicate. I do pride myself on my ability to communicate with people in a way that is not belittling. But we're not even going to talk about that today. But I'm grateful for that conversation, and I just wanted to share that here. What we are going to talk about today is, what are you being persistent in? And it also will go hand in hand with this idea of being consistent. So when I work with clients, I do have a lot of people that will tell me that they don't know how to be consistent. They suck at consistency. And the truth is, we're actually really great at consistency. We're really great at being persistent in things. We're just not always in this right direction, right? Some of us are really great at consistently eating crappy food or consistently making terrible relationship decisions, right? We do have that ability. We are actually really good at it. We just have to make sure we're focused on the thing that we actually want and not more of what we don't want. And the reason I'm talking about this today is I'm actually doing a Bible study with a girlfriend, and I think it was yesterday, the Bible study talked about persistence in prayer. And I thought, interesting. I was like, am I being persistent in all of the areas that I want to be persistent in? Or am I finding myself falling short? So am I kind of sitting on the fence, so to say, right? Because consistency and persistence are actually going to get you to the place that you want to be at. It is going to take discipline. I talk about discipline. I had a previous episode where discipline doesn't take that long, right? Discipline's a short period of time, but that helps to cultivate the consistency in your persistence. And I want to share a story here about persistence. So I had a mentor tell me one time, he was like, you know that you're an incredible manifester and you can manifest things really quickly. And I was like, yeah, I'm not seeing what you're saying. I'm going to need you to explain that for me. And he said, okay. He said, well, think of something that you've wanted. And I was like, okay. He was like, how long did it take you to get the thing? And I was like, well, not very long usually. And he was like, exactly. And the thing was, the things that I've wanted, right? I'm going to give an example. This house that we're in right now, I'm going to share this story. I believe I've shared it before, but my husband and I were in a rental at the time with 2 kids. It was just a family of 4 at that point. And we were in a rental, and it was a tiny backyard. The AC had actually not worked for that entire summer. Between Memorial Day and Labor Day, the AC worked, I think, for 11 days total. And if you've ever been to Virginia, the humidity will kill you before the heat does. And so it was quite miserable that summer. And we said, that's it. We've got to move. We've got to get out, right? And so we started looking at houses. And I swear we looked at 100 houses. And all the houses that we looked at, the house would be really big, but the yard would be super tiny. Or the yard would be super big and the house would be super tiny. And we never found like this happy median there was never a house where we're like, yeah, let's put an offer on that one, right? It wasn't happening. And then I remember it was a Friday night. My husband was getting ready to go out on a trip and he was on Zillow. And he said, oh, this house is really cool. He was like, too bad it's already under contract. And I was like, oh yeah, that sucks, right? Well, the next night, I couldn't sleep. And so I was laying in bed looking at Zillow and I was looking through the pictures of the house. And I was like, that actually, like the backyard's big. It's not far from the rental. Like this, let me just reach out to the realtor, right? And so I reached out to our realtor Sunday morning. And he texted me back not very long after. And he said, actually, interesting story. The contract on that home just fell through. I was like, oh. I said, I want to look at it. He goes, okay, when? I said, today. And so he said, okay, well, let me set up a time and we'll go look at it, right? And so we showed up here and I walked through the house. And I called my husband. I said, we need to put an offer on this house today. He said, I'll be home in 3 weeks. Just, you can wait. The house can wait until I get home. And I said, no, it's not going to wait until you get home. I said, because the contract just fell through. It does need a little bit of work, but it's a foreclosure. I said, and if we wait on this, an investor is going to take it. And my husband gave in and he was like, all right, fine. Send me the paperwork. We'll put an offer in on it. Right. So we put an offer in on it. It got accepted and it's been our home for 10 years now. Yeah. 10 years. Yes. And part of that was my persistence. Because this was the first home that had the size in the yard, the neighborhood, we're on a cul-de-sac, right? Like the neighborhood's safe, it's nice, we love it. We actually looked at a rental property in the same court, which is crazy. And so there was persistence in getting this house. And if I look at all the other things that I've wanted in this life, that I've wanted badly enough, I've been persistent about it. I've stuck with it and I haven't given up until I got the thing, right? And so when I ask you, are you being persistent in the stuff that matters to you? Are you? Are you being persistent or are you giving up on your dreams? Are you giving up because it felt too tough, or you didn't get a client as fast as she got a client, or you're not making as much money as that person is, and so you're going to quit on the thing that you really want to do because somebody seemed to do it faster? Make that make sense for me. Or are you going to be persistent on the thing that you actually want? And another little caveat here, I was scrolling through TikTok the other day, and there was a pastor that said, it caught me, and it was like, God always answers the woman's prayer in the Bible. And I thought about that for a minute, and I haven't studied the Bible deeply, so I don't know for sure, right? But I'm going to guess, based off of what this pastor was saying, that he was probably right. And he said the reason that women's prayers are answered in the Bible is because they're persistent. They didn't quit. They continued to go after the thing that they wanted until it came to fruition. Are you being persistent in the things that matter to you? I can't answer that for you. I can answer that for myself, and it made me check okay, where am I being persistent? What am I being persistent with? And is it stuff that actually matters? Only I can decide that for myself, and only you can decide that for yourself. But your persistency is going to pay off. Your consistency will also pay off. Because as long as you don't quit, you're going to get that thing. Can you hold out long enough? Can you believe in yourself long enough for the thing to materialize? I hope so, because you're worth it. So being persistent. So what does it mean to be persistent? Now I'm going to have to Google this and get an actual definition for you because I am full nerd alert. So don't mind me as I do this. Persistent. Persistent. Continuing firmly in a course of action in spite of difficulty or opposition. Continuing to exist or endure over a prolonged period. Okay, so similar words: tenacity, persevering, determined, resolute, purposeful, continuing, constant, continual, right? Nonstop. Okay, are you being persistent in who you're being? Or are you like, oh, I was really good yesterday, I don't need to be good today. I was really kind yesterday, I don't need to be kind today. My kindness is checked out. I was really patient with my kids yesterday, I don't need to be patient with them today. I was really great with my diet yesterday, I don't need to do that today. I actually had a similar conversation with my 14-year-old yesterday morning. She was eating Fruit Loops, which, bleh, talk about poison, gross, right? Like, I don't buy that stuff. My husband happened to have it from a hotel that he had stayed at and brought it into the house. She was eating it for breakfast, and she looks at me and she goes, "It's not really a big deal, Mom. It's just this tiny little bowl." And I said, "I understand that, honey." I said, "But do you think the person that is 400 pounds got to be 400 pounds from one meal?" She just kind of gave me this quizzical look. And I said, "No, honey, it was a justification that, oh, it's just one piece of pie. Oh, it's just 2 cookies. Oh, it's only a sleeve of Oreo cookies," right? And it adds up, right? There's the book, oh, I'm going to forget the author, The Slight Edge. Also The Compound Effect, right? Where it's this small decision that is just compounded over time that actually gets people to be that overnight success. Or the reverse effect, where they wake up one day and they're like, holy crap, how did my life end up this way? It is these small, what's the word I want? Small, sometimes, and I'm using quotes here, meaningless decisions that we make that actually relate to our life. And I do this work with my clients because I believe it's so important to even pay attention to these small decisions. If you are making these small decisions from an aligned place, it will absolutely serve you long term. And so I teach my clients to understand and to feel what is in alignment. And part of this is the soul work that I do with my clients to make sure that they are in alignment for this. And so it starts as simply as, what do I want to wear today? What do I want to eat today? When you can trust yourself to make those aligned decisions, then when it comes time to make these big, massive decisions, like what house do I want to buy? What state do I want to move to? What job do I want? What partner do I want to spend my life with? How many kids do I want? What do I want my career to be, right? Like, when it comes to those bigger decisions, you can trust yourself to decide because you've already trusted yourself on all these little things. And that's where that compound effect, that slight edge, that's where that really starts to benefit you. So are you being persistent in who you want to be? Are you making those decisions from a space that you're clear about? Or are you making those decisions just on a whim based off of how you feel currently? Because they're going to get you in two very different directions. So, are you being persistent with who you want to be? Because again, you're capable of consistency, you're capable of persistence. You're gonna do the thing, right? You can be consistent with your nightly routine of watching Netflix. You can also be consistent with your morning routine of going for, like, doing your workout. Which one's going to serve you long term? Do you even have a vision long term? What does that even look like? Right? So, I'm going to sign off here. I feel like I've given you a bunch of things to think about, and I would love if you would let me know if you contemplated any of this in any way, shape, or form. You can always reach out to me on Instagram. You can find me on my website at stephaniesnyderphd, which is .com. My Instagram handle is also Stephanie Snyder PhD, and I am currently accepting private clients. We are going to do life-changing work together. It may not always be comfortable, but I promise you, we're going to cut through the bullshit, and life on the other side is going to be great. So, I am sending you so much love. If you do have questions about working with me, or you're interested in setting up a call, preliminary call, a little consultation, just to see if it's something that you're interested in, absolutely send me an email. You can find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, my website, all the things. And I hope that you have a beautiful rest of your day. And as always, be you, because the world needs more of you. Bye, love.